Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good morning and welcome to this Tuesday edition of the Tuesday Talk Show. This is Series 2, Episode 2 of the Tuesday Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman from Essential Print Services based on Pride Park in Derby. But enough about me. You're here to hear all about our very special guest, friend of the show, Owen Conti from Code 56. Good morning, Owen.
Morning, Yvonne. Morning, everybody. How are you all doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. Yeah, doing all right. Doing all right.
We'll find out exactly how you're doing in a minute. Because it can't just be all right. There'll be a very short show if it's just, I'm all right. That's it. Show ended.
All right, fair point. Fair point.
Before we go over to the interview.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into it.
Before we go over to the interview, just want to let everyone know watching, whenever that may be, whether that's live or on catch up, this is live. This is unedited. It's not a podcast. It's unscripted. So anything can happen. Doorbells may go. Dogs may bark. Who knows? So, if you do hear any background noise, apologies, but that's just live shows for you, really. And please do send in your comments and requests and your shout outs and your questions whilst we're live and on catch up. We'll always get back to you. Now, for us to see who you are when you're commenting, you need to let Facebook know that StreamYard, which is the broadcasting platform we're using right now, is allowed to see your name. So you might have to go to the settings. If you can't be bothered to do that, just put your name at the end of the comments so we know who you are. Otherwise, it just comes up as Facebook user, and you could be anybody. And we definitely want to give you a shout out. So please do send in your comments and your hellos and your questions. Right, we're going to go over to Owen Conti from Code 56. Owen, tell us who you are in the Salazar Black, surprise, and blind date. Owen, who are you? Tell us who you are and where you come from and all about Code 56.
Okay, cool. So I'm Owen. I run a company called Code 56, and we look after technology for other small businesses and organizations, like charities as well. What I mean by that is we kind of act like a 3-tier IT service. We've got the first level, which is the kind of oh no moments. You go to switch the laptop on and it doesn't switch on. Well, what do? We're there on the end of the phone or on the end of it. Or you pick up the phone and give one of us a call and we help you through it. Then you got the next level up, which is kind of the IT management level, where we're starting to talk about projects and implementing those projects for customers. Maybe in the before times, maybe they were opening a new office. In the now times, maybe they're trying to work more remotely. There's some particular challenges still on at the moment. And then the next level up is sitting down with the leadership teams and the directors and kind of talking at a more strategic level about how they fit IT into their general business plan. And some customers find this really, really useful because they can think about the technology and the things that they might need to put in place really early on in their business planning process. So, a great example is, again, in the before times, opening up a new office, thinking about, well, are we going to have broadband? Are we going to have the space for the kit that we need? As well as, thinking about whether there's parking, whether there's local facilities that the members of the team can go and buy lunch and all that kind of stuff. And kind of looking at the company from that nerd's eye view a little bit. And helping them with that. And equally, at that kind of level, it's kind of trying to help them as much as we can, even outside of the technology. Signposting different businesses that we work with, different businesses that might be able to help them in different ways, and that sort of stuff, really. That's us in a nutshell. I know you've got some grilling questions, and I'm all on board to get onto those. So I think that covers us pretty well.
Okay, well, thanks for that. And we've got a friend of the show, Simon from Jack Photography, coming to see us this morning. Fully recommend Owen at Code 56, which is great. And I definitely echo that. Very recently, Owen and the team helped me with a oh no moment with a backup drive. And Code 56 definitely saved my veggie bacon. So thank you so much for all your help with that. Really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're happy to help.
Straight into the questions, because these sessions always absolutely fly by. Now we're going to go straight into the really personal one. Owen, how have you used the time during lockdown? Well, for those of you who know Owen, we all know he's used it very wisely, and he's made a baby. Exactly, the baby lockdown, ladies and gentlemen, which is amazing. So my question to you, Owen, is you've recently taken on more members of staff. Your company is growing, and I know for a fact that you're really busy at the minute. But your priority will obviously be your beautiful wife, Lorien, and the little Baba that's on the way. How on earth are you going to juggle all that? What do you have a plan? How are you going to do it?
So, presuming that I'm still going to be alive when I get home after Lorien sees this and has her input, yeah, I think at the minute you're right. We're lucky in that we are busy. What we do is kind of in need at the moment, which is nice for us. It's a bit bizarre because I know there's a lot of people out there who are really, really struggling, and I don't want to be the guy who's going, well, we're doing amazing. It just doesn't feel right. But yeah, the facts remain: the team is growing, the business is growing to support that team. I've also signed up to do an MBA apprenticeship through the University of Derby. Got the baby on the way. Yeah, so the plate is quite full. In terms of
look after yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
So how is this going to work?
How it's going to work. So ultimately, it's all kind of pieces of a puzzle in essence. So the team is growing, and I'm upskilling myself. Because really I need the team to be taking on more of the day-to-day stuff that I have been doing since the business started. And I kind of need to learn to let go of some of that stuff, which is a huge challenge in itself. And I need to be putting people in the right places to do that, where it's their specialty, and give them the opportunity for their own personal and professional development. So I kind of see that as step one, because that then frees me up to concentrate on my personal development and my professional development, as well as my family. And you're absolutely right. Come April, or whenever the little one decides to show up, well, I guess my priorities will shift even before that day, and I guess as a small business leader, I'm quite lucky in that I'll be able to use the flexibility of my small business to give me some time at home. And it may be that my working day has to change, instead of the more traditional 9 to 5 type hours, not that it's 9 to 5, but still, it may shift. I've got a friend, Simon from Greystone. He's an accountant, and I know he manages a family, and well, he's got a few kids. And what he does is he'll work in the morning around the school run, do some work at lunchtime, do the school run and attend to the kids in the evening, and then pick stuff up afterwards. So it's kind of that flexibility, that agility that as a small business we have, that I'm in a perfect position to exploit. And equally, like I say, it's about putting the team in place and giving them the tools to upskill themselves so that they don't need me to do those things necessarily. And kind of that's I guess that's the vision of the team, is to kind of create a position so that somebody can join the team and upskill while they're in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the moral of the story there really is, if someone's in a similar situation to you, whether they've already got, whether starting a family, or have already got a family and they're starting a new business, is to give people the empowerment and autonomy to do their jobs within the team. And I think it goes without saying that, your business buddies, I mean, if you ever need any help, you can always call upon us for any help and advice. I'm not very good at babysitting, but I'm sure someone else is good at that. So don't ask me about babysitting.
Well, no, absolutely. And I think you've kind of stumbled onto something that I'm only really just realizing the immense power of. And that's kind of the power of asking other people for help.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I've found this really difficult to start off with, because there's an almost, I don't know if it's pride or arrogance or whatever it is, that kind of tries to stop you from going, well, I need help, or, oh, I can do that. It's like, yeah, I probably can, but I'm also trying to do 50 other things at the same time, and I'm not getting any of them done to the right level. Whereas if I turn around and I say, oh, hey, Yvonne, I need some help. Can you help me with X? It does a few things. One, it gets it off my plate. Two, it shows you that I respect you enough to ask you for your input. and it gives you an opportunity to help. And I think, I don't know if it's my own little echo chamber or not, but certainly the people I deal with, when you ask them for help, they just, it's kind of like us. We are here to help.
Yeah.
And when you give us an opportunity to, we jump at it because it's kind of our reason to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Derby in particular is really good at supporting each other. It's got a fantastically supportive business community. So I think we are very lucky in this area to be able to pick up the phone. And for me, in the early days, I really struggled with asking for help just because I thought I had to be the know-it-all, the business leader, the owner of the business should have all the answers. And I soon learned that you don't. So you have to lean on that team, because that's what you employ them for. Got some more hellos, Owen. You've got very popular chat this morning. We've got friend of the show, Andrew Deaton. Hello, hi both. Really like level 3 mode. That sounds good. And Elaine Pritchard, Owen helped me last year too when I had another catastrophic tech breakdown. Sounds painful, but thoroughly recommend Owen. Fantastic.
Thank you very much, guys.
Because we are flying through the time around. What is the hardest thing about owning a company? You might have touched on a couple of points already, but what is the hardest thing, do you think? If anyone's sort of new to business or starting out, what should they be warned about?
Okay. So let's wind the clock back, and let's answer the question by kind of answering a different question. I don't know about you, but one of the reasons I set up was, I kind of thought throughout various points of my career, I kind of thought, well, why am I making this person money when I could go out and do it myself? I could be my own boss. And I'm sure people will agree with me that I have a streak of arrogance in me that I don't like to be told what to do. So, I want to be my own boss. That's great and everything. And strictly speaking, inside the company, yep, I am the boss. But what you might not realize straight away is that actually all of your customers are really your boss, in terms that they're the ones that you're delivering stuff for. So they're the ones that you need to make sure that you work to their requirements, make sure they understand what you can do, make sure you understand what they really want. So you go from maybe having 1 or 2 bosses in a career to having as many as you have customers, almost. So that can be difficult, because you're going to be dealing with different personalities and different types. Again, there's a certain type of person sets up a small business, and that's who we deal with, and they can be quite headstrong and they know what they want and whatnot. And as long as you go into that and you make sure it's nice and clear what you can do, what the expectations are, and what the requirements actually are, and you can deliver them to a high enough level, you're going to be fine. But there is that kind of shift, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, okay, I am the boss, but actually, if I pissed all my customers off, there would be no business.
Oh, hold on a minute. Swearing.
I
didn't warn the reviewers at home. There might be some swear words. I didn't think you were that much of a potty mouth.
Sorry.
That's £5. That's
I wasn't.
£5. That's swear word.
I wasn't aware that was on the Ofsted list or the Ofcom list. Sorry. But if I annoy all our customers, then they're not going to want to be customers anymore. So we don't have a business.
Annoyed if you annoyed all of them.
And also kind of comes on to something you just mentioned there, before the potty mouth warning. The buck stops with you. There's no escalation path. If something comes up the line to me, and I've not dealt with it before, then I need to learn how to deal with it, and I need to learn how to deal with it yesterday. And some of that is, it might be HR issues, and you can lean on your HR friends. Shout out to Loads HR, because they're amazing. It might be health and safety, and shout out to Susanna Kettleston, because again, she's amazing. But she's amazing.
She's my office buddy as well, so I've got to say that.
She's helped me with the health and safety stuff that we need to put in place, because now there's 5 of us, and paperwork's not my favorite thing. She came in, she understood what we do, how we do it, and kind of come with a really, really practical approach. So massive shout out to her. And it's kind of part of the challenge is building your network or your repertoire, if you don't like the word network, of people that okay, cool. If I have this problem, I can pick up the phone and ring this person and the problem goes away.
Yeah, I think Justina from Stuart Mobility on a previous episode, she put it really lovely, the way that she's got her small business and then she's got lots of other small businesses that are all different departments.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great way of putting it. So yeah, definitely work like that. We've got another hello this morning, shout out to Matt Elliott. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Matt.
And for your little potty mouth episode there, Owen, we've got a face palm from Zoran Carnell. Good morning, Zoran. I hope you're well.
Sorry, Zoran.
He's heard words from me. Don't worry about it. So the next question to you then, Owen, what is the best piece of advice someone has ever given you and how did it affect your life?
Oh, this is a toughie.
It's
a big question, but also every time you ask it, like I jump onto something different, I think. So if you are keeping track, this is probably going to be different again. I think it's kind of an amalgamation of different things people have said or kind of the sentiment of people have said or things I've read. But there's something that I've really latched onto in that ultimately perfection does not exist. So you can't be perfect. Stop trying to be perfect before you do anything. All it's going to do is stop you. So you hear people who are like, I'm going to launch this new business when I've got the website perfect. It's never going to be perfect. You can always do something better. Once you've got it to the point where you think, oh yeah, that's perfect, you'll look at it and go, oh, I could do that better. I could maybe I could do that. So stop letting perfection sort of disable you, if that makes sense. Yeah. And start thinking, okay, what's good enough? What is the term is minimal viable product. What is the thing I need to get together to actually be able to sell something, get some feedback on it, improve it, get it back out there, sell it again, improve it, and go through that iterative process. And I think generally, if somebody was coming to me and said, I'm thinking about starting up my business, I want to do X, Y, and Z, that would be the first thing I would say to them is, okay, define what the minimum thing is, and get it out there and get it sold. Make sure that you do have something that people want to buy.
Yeah.
And then you can improve it. It might not be, you might have an amazing idea, and you might have an amazing thing, but if nobody's buying it, you don't have a business, unfortunately.
Absolutely. I spoke to a new startup who's going to manufacture beverages, and they were so hung up on getting the right machinery. It has to have the right building, and they're worried about the leasing. And I said to them, have you actually made any yet? No. So how do you know that people actually want your product? Oh, I'm not too sure. And she emailed me afterwards to say, it's been an absolute revelation. And to me, that was obvious. But to other people, we take it for granted, I think, that because we've been in business for several years now, but then saying that, I could have had the same issue, at day one of starting my business. I might have sort of disabled myself from starting up. I just think the logo has to be perfect. The website has to be perfect. When I started, I didn't even have a website. That came later. I just had to get myself started, and that's one of the best things I've done. I've got a message here from Simon Owen from Jack Photography. One of my regrets is that I didn't know people that could help me at the start of my business when some of my kids were tiny. I wish I knew you guys then. Oh, Simon. And had the support from businesses and people that I know now. It could have allowed me to spend more time with the family. You can't get those baby moments back. Good advice there from Simon. Oh, it's getting a bit deep.
No, absolutely. I was actually talking about this last night. In the kind of reviewing, the last 5 years, just in a conversation with Larian. And we were saying, in the start, I was networking probably 3 times or more a week.
Yeah.
I was going to everything. And she was saying, but you've really kind of stopped that now. And I really have. I'm down to maybe twice a month, if that sometimes. And part of that is I think it was part of a process for me. I kind of had to go to everything to find the people that it works well with, you find suppliers, you find people who feed business into you, you find people that you just get on with, and you kind of want to see them do really, really well and things like that. But I think it's a process, and it takes time to work out, okay, you might be a really lovely person, but actually professionally, we can't really help each other. We're in the wrong spaces to do that. So maybe I need to introduce you to somebody else that you can build that relationship up with and take it a lot further. And over that time, it's kind of, looking at some of the customers that we've won and how we've won them. And there's that chain of recommendations. It's kind of like, okay, yeah. So it does take time. And as impatient as I can be, really do, I hope it really resonates with people who know me. I want everything and I want it now. But unfortunately, that's just not how, relationship building works. People you need to have a reputation in the environment, and people need to know that they can trust you. And that takes time and it takes effort. But I think, again, advice would be jump in feet first, go to everything and anything for an amount of time, maybe say a year or 18 months, and then start to really look at your network and go, okay, cool, I can work with this person, or that person works alongside what we do. So I want to get to know them better and see how we might be able to help each other, and kind of be a bit more strategic, maybe not the right word, but, kind of think about the business impact for both sides, because it's a two-way street.
I would say I wouldn't necessarily choose business groups or networking groups that you feel most comfortable in either, because if you feel too comfortable there, it might not be pushing you, or you might not get the different perspectives as you would do if you're going somewhere that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. And also, if you can't find a group that you think you fit into or doesn't quite suit your business, then create one. There's plenty of room out there for more business groups. So if you can't find one that you like, then create one yourself, whether you do it for free or a small amount. But going back to your point there, Owen, about being impatient, want everything straight away, there's a downside to that, as we know, but also a plus side, because that also pushes you to get things done and to push things forward. I know that's how I feel when I'm thinking, I want it done, I want it all doing now. I've got a list of things in my journal that sort of flow with me during the week, and I start to gradually tick things off. Whenever I get a few 5 minutes, I look at the list of bigger projects and think, right, what can I do now just to chip away at that thing that I want? I want it now, but I can't have it now. But what can I do to chip away at it? And before you know it, a week later, you're like, oh, I'm actually halfway there. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit impatient. Next question then, Owen, that's okay. I'm not sure if you've read The Tribe of Mentors. It's a really chunky book by Tim Ferriss, and some of these questions come from that book.
Okay. Tribe of Mentors.
Tribe of Mentors, and it's lots of interviews similar to this, but in a book format with lots of famous people. So it's someone that you can pick up, put down. In the book, Tim asks his guests, I'm asking you now, what is the book that's influenced you the most in business or in life in general, really?
I think books for me have all kind of meshed into one thing, if that makes sense. So I'd love to pull an eloquent answer out right now for you, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to flounder and come up with something. But I think the thing that's been most influential to me when it comes to books has been reading a bunch of different ones. And I appreciate that sounds like a really simple, stupid thing to say. Just read loads of books. But what I mean by that is kind of coming back to the point you just made there about comfort. You might start reading a book and go, I don't get this. This doesn't apply to me. But actually stick it through, read it. It's just a book. It's going to take, a week, a month of your life in some spare time that you've got, the mythical spare time. But even if you just pull one thing out of it, it can be useful. And then you can start to combine that with other things. So the E-Myth gets talked about all the time. And it's one of those books that you hear about it so much, you're just like, no, what? Everybody's mentioned this book, but then you read it and you're like, oh, I get it now. You should definitely read the E-Myth.
And for those people who struggle with E-Myth to read the book, I can highly recommend the podcast on Audible from Michael Gerber. It goes through the E-Myth during one of his big seminars. That is really inspiring and sort of motivational podcast to catch up on. For those people who haven't read the E-Myth, definitely highly recommend it.
Just to give you...
Let's go to the next question, my friend, because we are flying through time. If we've got time at the end, then we'll come back to it. So make a note. What have you become better at saying no to?
Oh, this is a work in progress. This is. I mean, I'm not great at saying no. In actual fact, the name Code 56 kind of comes from a joke about not saying no and trying to find a way forward. This is definitely a work in progress for me. I would say this is probably one of my weakest skill areas, primarily because I want to help people and I want to help make things happen and I want to achieve things, and no kind of gets in the way of that, I think. And I was talking to somebody else as well, a chap named Ian, and he does a lot of coaching work and stuff like that, and he's kind of stumbled onto the same thing. Like he needs to say no a bit more, and kind of we were talking about the kind of defining your vision and defining where you want things to end up makes it easier to go, is this going to help me get there or not? And then the answer becomes yes or no, if that makes sense. But then it's also techniques on rewording no. So it might be, I'm sorry, we can't help with that, but maybe these guys can. Or that's not our skill area, but that really suits these guys, you know. Or
it could be a case of it's no, not right now, not a no, never. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think it's realizing that sometimes you have to say no to enable you to do things that make you say yes a lot more. Or you have to say no right now because in 2 years' time, you're going to be able to make such a bigger impact.
Yeah.
You know, for example, some charity work or whatnot, you might run yourself ragged for the next 6 months, making an impact, but inside you have a desire to make a much bigger impact. If you said no to that opportunity right now and spent the next year developing something else, you could come back and make a much, much more meaningful long-term impact because you've got the funds or you've got whatever behind you.
Time, resources.
So yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. The next one, another personal one. We've sort of topped and tailed the show with the personal questions. It's one that you can feel free to say no to, of course.
Put it into practice straight away.
Practice right now. We all know that the past almost a year now, which is crazy, has been an absolute shocker for a lot of people. It's affected us in all ways, shapes and forms. And I know a lot of people running their small businesses have felt like giving up. I mean, when was the last time you felt like quitting? And most importantly, what did you do to get yourself out of that mindset and overcome it?
So running a small business is an exercise of flip-flopping between feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you are the absolute champion of the world. To sort of paraphrase the last 5 years. In terms of, I don't think I've ever actually sat down and entertained the thought of quitting for more than 5 seconds. Yeah, it's stressful. Yes, there's a lot of pressure that I put on myself. But there's some weird part of me that actually really enjoys that. And I think as tired and as emotional as I can get, the people around me really kind of see that. They're like, yeah, but you wouldn't have it any other way, would you? And they're kind of right. You know, it's the people that sometimes know you better than you know yourself in that aspect. Lockdown, coronavirus, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can't even begin to imagine what it's been like for businesses that cannot trade right now. I don't understand that. Equally, the storm is affecting all ships, if you like. And I'm definitely channeling Forrest Gump. Yeah. The scene where Lieutenant Dan joins him on the shrimp boat and there's a storm and Lieutenant Dan's up the mast and he's just going crazy, like lightning and everything like that. I'm channeling that as sort of my spirit energy right now, in that the situation is rough at best. You know, it's pretty dire for a lot of people. And to explain it as rough is kind of oversimplifying and painting a pretty picture. And I get that. But I kind of feel like we're going to push hard, and we're going to channel that kind of energy that just says, you know what, it's happening. It's happening. I'm in it right now. There's nothing I can do apart from go for it. And I'm gonna double down. And to oversimplify, two things could happen. One, as in the film, I'm going to be cleaning up all the shrimp, or or the boat sinks. And you know what? If the boat sinks, I'll build another one. We'll figure it out. It's happening to the whole world right now, and I think we all kind of understand that. And equally, what is the very worst scenario that could play out, and is it actually that bad? Really? For me personally, probably not. The situation could be magnitudes worse for other people in different situations, or if they're clinically vulnerable or things like that. I completely get that, and I'm not trying to make light of that fact. But from where I sit right now, it's kind of, okay, the situation is happening. I can't control what the UK government is doing about coronavirus. I can't control what the virus is going to do. What can I control, and how can I move it in a positive way forward that impacts my life and the life of the people that I care about around me? And that's what I'm trying to focus on. And I really hope that I've not kind of oversimplified something or made it seem like I'm being completely reckless or anything like that. I appreciate that I can kind of be a bit flippant sometimes with the words that I use, and I really do appreciate there are some people in some really dire situations right now. But I think if we're able to, we need to push forward, and we need to try and do whatever we can to control our part of the world.
And we can do that together, can't we, within the business community? People watching, very welcome to reach out to either of us, really, and have a chat, just very informal, confidential chat. Because I know from experience that when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just have to talk to people like Owen, and it just gives me a completely different perspective. Even if they don't answer the question or the problem that I've got, it just makes you think differently, just speaking it out loud. As simple as that. So going over to something a bit more positive then. Thanks for answering that so honestly as well. I really do appreciate that. So as we've already spoke about, you're about to be a really busy guy. But what is left on Owen's bucket list?
I don't think I have one. I think I genuinely don't think I have one. I don't sit there and kind of pine about things that I really, really want to do, if that makes sense. I think sometimes, well, I'm much more impulsive, I guess. Like back in 2012, me and a friend decided we were going to cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats, and we just did it.
Oh gosh.
We did the training, we booked the hotels, and we took our stuff with us, and we did it. And I think Lorian will tell you, if you ever speak to her, that I kind of go through this cycle of every couple of years doing something crazy. So last year I was down to do a charity MMA fight, and when we were 3 weeks away from the fight when lockdown happened. So when things return to normal, I'll be doing that again. And it's kind of like when something crops up and I kind of feel like, you know what, actually, yeah, I do want to do this. There's something in my brain that just goes, cool, we're in 100%.
And your team of cheerleaders will still be there when you do it.
No, that's cool. I think, yeah, whenever it's going to be, even with all the crazy stuff that's going on, the MBA, the baby, work, I will find a way to make that happen. But I don't. Oh, sorry, I can't answer the question. I don't really have a bucket list.
Fine, it's your show. Your show. So we're going to wrap up now. And if you're watching this live on Catch Up, please do still send in your shout outs and your thank yous. We've got a question.
Okay.
Right at the 11th hour. Are you happy to?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good for as long as you want me.
Zoran is back. Zoran, good morning, Zoran. He's got a question. What's the best way to get your product out there? I have a website, but don't know what circles to approach. Gosh. And that's a whole show in itself, I think. But,
I think you're right. I think first and foremost, it depends on what you're doing. So, for example, we are business to business. We do very little business to consumer. So I'm not going to have any real meaningful insights for somebody in that space. One kind of practice we do is flesh out our target market. We create avatars, if you like. You can take it to the level of sketching out what they might even look like. Are they somebody who's Gen X? In their sort of late 30s to early 50s. Are they middle management, senior management? What social networks do they use? Are they more Facebook? Are they more Twitter? Are they more LinkedIn? What kind of headspace do they need to be in when they are going to interact with your business or your product? So for example, for us, our target market, our people are exactly that, sort of Gen Xers and maybe younger boomers who are in management positions. They've got small teams. They generally use Facebook for personal stuff. They've started to use Instagram. But really, when they're in that work headspace, they're using LinkedIn. So there's no point in us spamming Instagram with techie photos because they're not in that mindset when they're on that platform. So it's kind of being a little bit analytical about your target customer. Yvonne, what's your thoughts on this one?
I'm just writing down that I think we need to do a marketing-based Tuesday talk show later in the year because we could spend all day on this subject. But yeah, so Zoran, thank you very much for that idea. We're going to do a spin-off show later in the year. So yeah, tune in later on. More details for that. We're coming up shortly, I'm sure. We're going to have to wrap up. We've gone over time and it's absolutely been fantastic to catch up with you, Owen, and to hear all about the insights and what you've got coming up. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
So people can find us all over the place. We don't make it hard. We're on Twitter quite a bit. More than other platforms, just because we like to have fun there. It's code_56 is our tag there, I think. We're on Facebook. You might even be watching this on this Code 56 page, who knows? Or you can visit our website. It's www.code56.co.uk. There's a big button on there. You click it and it'll create an email for you. Just fill it in and send us whatever you want to send us, whether it's a question, whether you want to talk to us, if you've got an issue, cool, get in touch. Let's see if we can help.
Fantastic. I'm going to wrap up now, Owen, but afterwards I want to come back to you for your final thought, if that's okay. So a couple of shout outs. We've got someone who we don't know who it is, but well done both. I'll take it. I like that. A great session, Andrew says. Thanks very much. So thanks for joining us, Andrew. If you're watching this live or on catch up, please give us what Joe Wicks would describe as a high five. So give us a like. Give us a like, show us the love. That would be amazing. Please still send in your questions and your shout outs and we'll get back to you later. Next week, tune in to the Tuesday Talk Show again at 10 a.m. We've got episodes lined up all the way through to the end of April. But if you're sitting there thinking, Yvonne's not giving me the call yet, I really would like to be on the show, then don't just sit there. Don't be shy. Get in touch with me and we'll get you scheduled in because we'd love to hear all about your small business based in Derby. So over to you, Owen from Code 56 for your final thought for today's Tuesday Talk Show.
My final thought is, I don't know what I'm capable of. And that is a statement that makes people kind of think, well, what do you mean there? And I mean it as a positive. Like, I don't know where I can take this. So I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep upskilling until I get to that point where I realize that actually this is the extent of my skill set. Now, it's a double-edged thing because I don't know what I'm capable of. One day I'm going to reach that point where I'm no longer capable of it. So I need to keep that in my mind as well and think about how do I build a team around me, whether that's employees, whether that's business buddies, whatever that might be, that can help me, one, identify when that's going to happen, and two, start to take some of that stuff off that I'm not that good at. Because there are things that I'm not good at. And there will be things out there that you're not good at. And there will be things that you are the absolute champion at. and that's absolutely fine. Not one of us is perfect at everything. But I think I'm really embracing this idea of I don't know where I can take that. I can take this. I don't know where. It's going to go pretty far. And that's really exciting to me. That's
a really positive, optimistic note to end the show right there. So thank you so much, Owen, for your time. I know you're a really busy chap, so I really do appreciate it. No, joking aside, you are really busy, and I really do appreciate your time out this morning. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in live and those who are watching on catch up. I hope you take care of yourselves. But it is goodbye from me, Yvonne, Essential Print Services, and Owen. Would like to say goodbye to our viewers.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and thanks, Yvonne, for asking me to be on here. It's a great opportunity. Okay. Really appreciate it. So yeah, thanks and goodbye.
We'll see you soon. See you later.